All righty. Some great questions during the break. Okay. All right. Can somebody grab that door, just please? Is there anyone that didn't get their order taken that wants lunch? Okay. No one? Missing it. If you don't have one, it's missing some good food. All right. So Siri does a heck of a lot more than that, but that's really the basics and the most used things. I had one good question great questions during the break, but one thing was, and I kind of zoomed over this, so to speak, on the maps, is how do I zoom in and zoom out on my map? Well, Apple calls it pinch to zoom, which seems a little strange. I can take my fingers and I can spread them apart or move them in to zoom. Okay? That's one way. Pinch them together to zoom out and pinch them apart to zoom in. Another way to do it is to double tap. First of all, if I want to go to where I am right now, I tap this little guy right here and it'll take me right to where I am. If the screen disappears like that, you have to tap the screen and then tap it. So that takes me right where we are. We just we're back where we were. Now, to zoom in, I take one finger and I double tap. Double tap. Double tap. We're all zoomed in. If I want to go out, I two-finger tap. Two-finger double tap. Okay? Try that. Two-finger double tap, out. Single finger double tap, zooms in. And then once you're zoomed in, you take one single finger and you can move the map around wherever you want. Everybody got that? I think that's a little easier than the touch to zoom, and in fact, what it does is there's certain levels that these things are made at. If you're zooming with this, it goes on incrementally in between, but if you do the tap, it goes to the known levels that it does. Excuse me. So, a couple of things. Let's just say what do I have here? I have an In-N-Out burger. So I'm going to tap on that In-N-Out burger, the little blue thing by the car. And that was directions. Now I'm going to go tap on the thing again. And now I'm going to hit right here on the white banner. And I get all this. Then what's really neat is I can go down here and I say more info on Yelp. That's, in other words, more info about the restaurant, things on Yelp, etc. But let's say I can create a new contact. If I go, let's say it was a Home Depot and you want to have that Home Depot in your book, you could create that as a contact as your Home Depot. You can add to an existing contact an address. You can make a bookmark in Maps. A bookmark is simply that if you visit a lot, you start typing it and it'll do it. Report a problem. I've done that myself with a couple of things. I reported a problem where if I had somebody's address in here or somebody's name from my contacts and it navigated me up to the house, it says, okay, you've arrived. But if it's someplace you haven't visited before, you don't know which house number it is, and I had to hit cancel and go back to it. I says, no, you should make it so as you arrive at it, it says, arrived at so-and-so's house, 6622 Street, and whatever the street name is. And as it arrives now, you come up and it says that because you know how it's pretty darn accurate, but this way it says it'll be on the right or the left, but this way if it's like between two houses, you know which one it is.
I think it says that now.
It does. That's what I'm saying. I reported that problem long ago, and they finally did it out into it. Now, there's the Yelp one. Let's go back to the maps.
How do you access your bookmarks? You must have bookmarks.
No, your bookmarks are, okay, so how do you access your bookmarks? If I go back here and hit clear, the little line at the top where you can type things, if I tap that and hit clear, my bookmarks are already there. As I start to type, it will show any of your bookmarks. And your home location, as long as you put your home into contacts, it'll be right there all the time. Or you can say, take me home.
Getting directions to Ken Spencer. Home.
So hang on a sec, we got to reconnect. So that would get directions back to my house for me. So now I tap the screen, or then I can hit, oh, you're not seeing it. Hang on, there we are. Come on. There we go. So now you would hit start or clear. All right. If I have a location that I'm going to, let's look at inevitably Starbucks. I click Starbucks and all these pins drop. But let's say I don't want Starbucks near me. I'm going to be up in Auburn. So here's Auburn. So now I've moved the map to Auburn, right? Now I'm going to search for Starbucks within the map area that I'm displaying. So if I hit search, oh, it didn't do it. Hang on. Oh, because I have a clear here. Hang on. Let's get out of that. Maybe there's no Starbucks in Auburn. Yeah, right.
Oh, there are. Go there.
I know. So let's go here. Great. I don't know why it's not doing it. I might have my location off.
On Auburn?
You shouldn't have to. It's somehow. Oh, I think it might again be part of the connected thing. So anyway, so let's go to San Francisco. There's no Starbucks there. So I'm zooming out. There's traffic on the East Shore. So now that I've navigated away, let's see what happens. Jesus. All right, I'm going to work on that and figure out why, because I think it's because I'm connected possibly. Because does anybody else getting that if they move somewhere else and hit Starbucks is doing it correctly?
Yeah, I tried the Auburn one. It worked.
Okay, so let me disconnect. This is a good test here. I've disconnected the cable. And that will do it definitely if you say where it is. But I'm trying to point out that it has to do with the map where I locate. So let's try it now. Wow, it's not redoing it. Anyway, so in that case, if maps are misbehaving, I double tap my home button and I swipe up to quit maps. And let's see if that fixed it. So I'm in Auburn. And there it goes. Okay. It was repeating my search is what actually happened there. I don't think it was that I was connected. So we're going to lose the screen a sec. Okay. So it's the map area that you're zoomed into, which is really beneficial. And if the map area you're zoomed into doesn't include it, the map will zoom out to include what you're looking for, if it's there.
So did you just double tap? How did you get it to come to?
Oh, how did I quit the app?
How did you get it to come show up in Auburn?
I actually redid the search. I changed the S in Starbucks because I think it was remembering the search I had just done because it was in an area. And for some reason, we're not seeing this again. Let me just check our little connection thingy. Okay. Oh, we're off. Okay, hang on here. We lost connection to the computer. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. We are there. Come on. All right. So we got the zoom. What is going on here? Let me quit. Quit reflector. Fire reflector back up. All right. I think we're cooking with it again. Should be. Finally, thank you. All right. So we briefly talked about Yelp, and it's kind of a crowdsourced way to go about things. I found some really good restaurants through Yelp. If you check them, it's YELP. It's an app on the phone. But let's watch what we can do with Siri. I can say, find the nearest sushi restaurants.
I found 4 sushi restaurants fairly close to you. I've sorted them by distance.
She sorted them by what?
Distance.
Find the best sushi restaurant nearby.
I found 4 sushi restaurants fairly close to you. I've sorted them by rating.
So, the first one was by proximity, and the second one was by Yelp rating. So that can be very beneficial. I mean, she had only did 4 here. Usually it's a pretty wide area. I can say, find the best sushi restaurant in Roseville, California.
Looking for best rated sushi restaurants in Roseville. I found 15 sushi restaurants in Roseville. I've sorted them by rating.
Okay? So all I would do is then tap on one of these. And when I tap on it, it's closed right now. And shouldn't be, but anyway. So it goes down here, and there's the map. If I tap the map, it'll give me directions to it. And if I just tap on the restaurant here in details, in reviews, right here where it says reviews, I tap on this, and it takes me right to the Yelp app, which is free and downloaded. And Yelp's a good one. If you're going to a restaurant, it's really good for you to rate the restaurant. It's so much better than restaurant reviewers, and most of the time they only get bad ratings. If it's good, make sure you put it in here. If it's good today, you can put La Placida in here. But also, sometimes there's little coupons within Yelp. You show it to them and you might get a free appetizer or something like that, a free edamame at a sushi restaurant. So it's a good idea to check in with Yelp because you might get it. But my mother used to spend 3 months a year down in Arizona, and we were looking for a new restaurant. We just couldn't figure out what we wanted. I says, well, let's look for Chinese nearby. And this little hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurant got great Yelp ratings. Ironically, it was the closest Chinese restaurant to where she was, and we ended up loving it and kept going there, and it was great. So Yelp's got some good things, and it's all crowdsourced. In other words, it's all you guys giving that information to them to figure out what's the best. Now, we said we can launch apps. I have 500-something apps on here. I'll launch one that Al told me about. As photography, it says, launch TPE. Pretty obscure. It's the photographer's ephemeris, and it's an app that's in here. It's launched on my phone. It's not on the screen yet. I don't know why this is such a delay. I really apologize.
What kind of app is it?
What it does here is it shows you the sun and the moon and the angles and where they are, the golden hour, so I can position it wherever I know I'm going to be, anywhere, and it'll show you where the sun is, because you know the hour before sunset and the hour after sunrise are the best times for taking the golden hour for taking photographs. But I have different places where I shoot, and then I can use this to say, oh yeah, this one works really well this time of year for where the sun is. So that's TPE. Thanks to Al for that, the photographer's ephemeris. We're going to talk about a few iPhone photo apps here in just a few minutes, but I want to get into that'll be this afternoon probably, but I want to talk about the built-in apps. So I have a pretty full calendar, and I appear to be an organized person, but I'm only organized because Siri puts things in my calendar for me. So I'm going to look at my calendar, and I'm just going to pick a date. Okay. Actually, tomorrow would be good. So I'm going to say, I'm in my car. Somebody calls me up. I say, schedule dentist tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have 2 events that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway?
No, cancel. Or just
Okay
no.
then, I won't create the event.
Sometimes you have a lot of events, you'll say, oh, you were too busy anyway. So I strive to get as many of those as I can. I think it's 3 is the limit on that.
Can you ask it to tell you what you have scheduled tomorrow?
What is my schedule
I can answer.
What is my schedule tomorrow? I think I have to say, what's my next appointment?
You have a couple of appointments for tomorrow.
Schedule dentist tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have 2 appointments that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
Got it.
I scheduled your event for 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Change tomorrow's dentist appointment to Tuesday.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have 2 appointments that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
It's on your calendar for 10 a.m. Tuesday.
And it will show up here in a second on Tuesday. See it in a minute here, it will. So it can create the event, it can delete the event. When is my next appointment?
Your next appointment is
Oh,
at 4
this isn't
p.m.
on,
today.
the computer's not on the internet, that's why it's not showing up there. I apologize. That's why it's not, because we're doing this screen share thing. So it's a wonderful way to make events. Again, it can be in your car without even seeing the device. She'll tell you you have feedback. Now, don't say schedule appointment, because she'll schedule something called appointment. So when we talk to Siri, my girlfriend is really my administrative assistant. I pay her quite well. It's the Apple tax. But I couldn't just say schedule. I have to tell Siri what I want. So to find out how to speak to Siri, what can I say?
You can say things like,
Now you'll notice every time Siri is up, there's a little question mark here, and that's what you get as a screen. I will point out also that to activate Siri, I pressed and held the home button. Once Siri is activated, all I have to do is simply tap the microphone that's on the screen to get it. Now, when you activate Siri, you have to wait for her to go beep beep before she'll do it. What can I say?
you can say things like,
So if you'll notice, think about it this way. You're trying to do something, so there's some sort of action involved. Call Brian. Now these are fake lists. I don't have a Brian in my book, I don't think. So FaceTime Lisa. Launch photos, launch an app, say what it is. Tell Susan I'll be right there. Now I always say send a message to, but in this case it doesn't. So you don't have to say that. Calendar, set up a meeting. Sports, did the Giants win? Maps, give me directions. Twitter, Facebook. Restaurants, here's a pretty interesting one. If you have the OpenTable app on your iPhone, OpenTable is a great way to make reservations at many restaurants. I did this not too long ago. Actually, I think we met with Jessie and her husband. We were all getting together over here at Rudy's Hideaway when they were having a lobster deal. And I said, find a table for 6 at 6:30 tonight at Rudy's Hideaway. And it opened up OpenTable. Find a table for 4 people tonight at Rudy's Hideaway at 6:30.
okay, Rudy's Hideaway Lobster House Bar and Catering has tables for 4 at 6:30 p.m.
I could book it through OpenTable this way.
Do restaurants have to be?
They have to be part of OpenTable, and to be honest, they pay a bit of money to OpenTable for it. But the convenience factor probably pays off. But if it's a place you go to a lot, if you like them and you respect them, then you'll get extra points with OpenTable, but you're better off just doing it direct so they're not having to pay the tax of the OpenTable. You can do the same thing for movies. What's a popular movie right now? Well, hers out already. Okay, yeah. Find tickets for 2 for the movie Godzilla nearby. And it needs the
I found
Fandango app.
Godzilla playing today a bit far from Citrus Heights.
So I would have to use the Fandango app, and I could do it from my phone. There's this big long line, and you get to go to the front of the line because you already purchased your tickets. So that's Fandango is the one it uses it maximizes for that, and OpenTable for the restaurants. Yelp is where you get the restaurant reviews. Open table is how you make the reservations at many restaurants, but not a ton. Okay, I mean, but the open table thing, it's usually if a place takes reservations, they'll be able to do open table. And you can see, like, if it says, oh, there's none at 6:30, they'll be, okay, 7 o'clock, there's a table ready. Now, we talked about calendar. There's two things that are huge in the iPhone that are similar. One is notes. Now, not everybody is able to do notes. It depends on if you used iCloud, .Mac, or MobileMe, or you used a different account. But notes is this little section in here, right here. So I'm going to say, create a test note.
Here's your note.
Let me get my iPad on the screen at the same time. Hang on here. I have to turn on cellular data. If we'd had internet, if my computer wasn't logging back out, it would work. So, cellular data and Wi-Fi. Join anyway. All right, that's not gonna work because of hotspotting. All right, let me do this. Sorry. Cellular data, personal hotspot, on. Wi-Fi. Let's try one little thing here. Might cure it for us. Oh, you got no service. And it's not AT&T. All right, we'll go back to this. Sorry for the diversion. Okay. God, I miss that Jeopardy song when things mess up. All right, so I created a note called test, and if I go to my notes app, there's test, right? So the first line of the note is the first line of the note is the name of the note. So when I go to my list of notes, you can see the first line test is it. So now I'm gonna use this as my shopping note. Add toothpaste to my test note.
Which note shall I update? Test or Mail Safari contacts?
Test.
Which note shall I update?
Yeah, see the problem.
Test or
I have to change that note name to something unique. Test class. Because I have test in the word note somewhere. Done. So. Add toothpaste to my test class notes.
which note? Test class or Mail Safari contacts?
I don't know why it's doing it. Okay, so let's change the note name. I have like 35 notes in there. So let's call it staff, for lack of anything better. Add toothpaste to my staff note.
Okay, I made the change to your note.
Add laundry detergent to my staff note.
Okay, I made the change to your note.
Now this would be currently updating my iPhone, my iPad, and my Mac at the same time. So I could go, if they were connected to the internet, and go to, in fact, I might be able to do the iPad here if I can get it connected to La Placida. Let's see here. Add toilet paper to my staff note.
Finding staff in your notes. Okay, I made the change to your note.
That was from my iPad. It added toilet paper. add no, I got laundry detergent. Add, let's say, add milk to my staff note. Thank you. Now it's going to put thank you. Milk, thank you.
Finding staff in your notes. Okay, I made the change to your note.
Okay? So now when I get to the store, I just can delete it on my iPad. I got milk and I got toilet paper, so I'm deleting those. And I've got laundry detergent, leaving me only with toothpaste. So in a second, it will reach across the internet. And there's only toothpaste left.
How did you delete them?
I just deleted them manually with my when I went into it. I'm at the store and I went to my notes. Okay, I've got that. I just delete it like you would delete any text.
You can't check it off though.
That's on the next one. Stephanie asked, you can't check it off. Well, yes, you can. So that's notes. So the first name of the note the first line of the note is the name of the note. And try do unique ones. By the way, I do a Costco one. Make sure you enunciate the T in Costco, or it will go Costco. And the Walmart note, etc. So just kind of do an easy name, but one that you can repeat easily. So I'm going to go to reminders next, and that's the app right next to it. Should be next to it on your phone. I think that's the right spot. But let's talk about reminders for a second. Reminders is like a to-do list. Remember, this was a note. It's just your sticky note. You put up, that's why that bottom of the iMac is there, so you can put sticky notes on it, right? And then you can take the sticky note with you to go. So reminders can do a few things. And I could dig in here to reminders and show you how to do it. I could dig into notes and show you how to do it, but it's so much easier to let Siri do it. So if I go in and I say a reminder, I just make a list. So I can make a to-do list and have check marks on it, okay? So when I check it, it becomes completed. That's a simple list, but reminders is so much more. A reminder can be time-based. In other words, you can say, remind me to, Pete had one yesterday if you were here. Remember, he had a reminder set to remind him to water the peppers at 11 a.m. every day. He was here, he couldn't water the peppers. I don't know what's going to happen when he's gone. Maybe he has a pepper sitter or something like that to take care of his peppers. Yeah. So anyway, so a reminder can be time-based.
Can you do that for like when you need to check into the airport to get your seat? And will it remind you to do that?
So her question was, Southwest obviously, how to check in 24 hours ahead of time to do it. Let's do a case example for that. I frankly, when I get my Southwest flight, there's a date on the ticket, or a date on the thing, and I click on it and have it add that event to my calendar. Then I go into my calendar and say 24 hours and 5 minutes before that, give me an alert with my itinerary number so I can use the Southwest app to check in at the airport. And I think Southwest now, they just recently made it so you can go ticketless on them on the iPhone app. I think that just happened. But with Southwest, you have to sign in on the app or on the computer 24 hours in advance to make sure you can get that A seating. You're first class, right, in Southwest. So that's a way to do it, or you can set a reminder. So I'm going to set a reminder for 12:20. At 12:20, remind me to smile.
Here's your reminder for today at 12:20 p.m. Shall I create it?
Yes. Now,
Okay, I'll remind you.
that reminder will pop up on all my devices if I've got the iCloud active. It will not pop up on my computer because the computer is currently not on the internet because of this Wi-Fi setup. But if my iPad was on the internet, anything that's on the internet, it will pop up there at the appropriate time. So that's a time-based reminder. It's a one-time reminder, and it just pops up today at 12. I could say, a week from now, pop up and remind me at such and such a time. You can say, now you would make an appointment in calendars, but you could say, remember to call the dentist Tuesday at 9 a.m. That's not your dentist appointment, that's reminding you to call the dentist. The interesting thing is, I'll show you that in a sec. So that's time-based reminders. One of the most functional reminders there is location-based reminders. Think about it. You're all sitting right here, and you go, I forgot to turn the water off to the peppers. Oh, look at this. Siri told me to smile. So if I tap it, it'll snooze for a short time. Or I can reply to it, slide to unlock, etc. So it's going to snooze. All right, now, it also showed up on my iPad. Trust me, it's right there, same reminder. When I dismiss it, it would dismiss it on all the devices. Now, I'm going to do a location-based reminder. This would be, you're sitting here and you go, man, when I get home, I got to remember to turn off the water or do the laundry. So, when I get home, remind me to do laundry.
Here's your reminder for when you get home. Shall I create it?
Cancel. It's not showing up here.
Okay then.
So, so angry. I think when I shut the phone off, that's what it did. So hang on one sec. We'll get back on here. Hi, Val. Okay, come on. So the location-based reminder is if you're sitting here and you remember something, or you can say, you're in a meeting, you say, when I leave here, and then you get 300 feet away from where you are, because it knows where here is all the time. Even if here isn't in your book, it knows where here is. So I can say, when I leave here, remind me to call Sean Vogwill.
Here's your reminder for when you leave here. Shall I create it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Now, when I get 300 feet away from here, or if you're in a large building, maybe the other side of the building, but the cool thing is it will pop up and it'll say, remember to call Sean Vogwill. But since Sean Vogwill is also in my phone book, it will come up and show his number, and it'll say, you press here to call, and it will then call him. It won't automatically call him, but it gives me that option and that reminder. Your phone has a geofence around you at all times. It knows where you are, and so when you say, here is here, remind me to call. I have a place I wanted to check out. I was driving south on 99, and I saw a billboard for a place. I go, how can I remember to check this place out when I come back tonight or next week? I said, when I get here, remind me to check out Royce Farms Barbecue. Little story behind that. Sean can shared it with me. So I'm heading down 99. I'm heading to San Jose. And I said, when I get here, there's an EmpowerMac. Oh, Lisa. Oh, cool. Thanks, Lisa. I'll put that up. So I'm driving down 99. I see this sign. And I say, when I get here, remind me to check out Royce Farms Barbecue. Because I saw the sign, and it was really cool looking barbecue. And I went to San Jose. So I came back, and then Sean and I were heading 2 weeks later on the way to a Stockton Thunder hockey game. And then all of a sudden pops up, I knew it was around there somewhere, but it pops up and says Rice Farms Barbecue. And sure enough, I'm able to look at the billboard and it says 8 Mile Road. I'd done some research on it ahead of time. Apple Maps actually took me, it was an intersection at 8 Mile Road by Stockton. It took me to the southwest corner, and there was nothing there but a field. Luckily, I'd done a Google Maps, well, unluckily, I'd done a Google Maps check and found that it was across the freeway on the other side. I should have listened to Google Maps because I think Sean will agree it's probably the worst barbecue we've ever had in our life. So I should have listened to Apple Maps. But in fact, the reminder is great. I have a thing where I go do some service with the DMV kiosks, and I have a process where I have to check in online and check out online. So I've set it, the DMV in South Sacramento. When I get there, it pops up check in. So I remember to check in on the app, and when I leave, it says check out. So again, you're sitting here, and you got to remember you've got to call somebody. You're in a meeting, and you want to remember to call somebody, time-based. Or when I get home, take out the trash. As you get to your house, it'll pop up until you dismiss it. It'll pop up at your house every time you go there. You know, the trash, and maybe it's trash day, you go ahead and say a certain time. So time-based or location-based. If I want to say, when I get to Home Depot, remember to get 16 penny nails, it'll only work if Home Depot is in my address book. Okay? You had a question?
How do I get, I was just looking at mine on my maps, and for home, for some reason I've got my office address and not my home address.
So here's the thing. If you go into your contacts, everybody should make sure they have their contacts correct. If you go to contacts and you go to your name, I don't want to go into mine because I have some passwords that'll show up and this is being recorded.
Just in the contacts.
Go to your contact.
Is that like under my phone?
So here, I'll just go here. Let's say here's, I don't know who Ken Sherman is. Well, that won't work. I'll go to, here's an address for Ken Ebby, okay? So I hit edit in the upper right, and then I change home to work or work to home,
Okay.
okay?
And then that knows that's home for me.
Yeah, and as long as it's your contact,
Right.
yeah. And so if someone's in your address book, you can say, go to so-and-so, or when I get there, remind me to do this. So reminders is hugely powerful. It won't tell you if you have a conflict like appointments will. But use reminders. They're huge. All right, so we got maps, reminders, mail, text messages. In fact, in that regard, Lisa sent me a message. Oh, how did you send that, Lisa?
It was calendar. It was
Oh, calendar invite. So let's go to the calendar really quick. So Lisa has it as June. Oh, there it is. So here on the board, these are the dates of the next EmpowerMac. So it's a 3-day EmpowerMac, you know. Not really.
It's midnight.
I know, it's an all-day event is what it is. So it's Saturday the 26th and Saturday the 27th Sunday the 27th of July. Didn't we have a June one though too?
We do. That's the 21st and the 22nd.
21st and 22nd of June. 21st and 22nd of June. So right here and right here. The Austrian Grand Prix is that weekend. And we were on July 26th, and that's the Hungarian Grand Prix that weekend, just so you guys know. I follow Formula One. Pete's birthday, yes, July 11th. A couple days after Sean's birthday.
Same as my granddaughter.
Yeah. Do I have the number right, Sean? 36? God, you're young. All right.
That number is wrong.
Okay, good. Don't feel so bad now.
Well, I didn't say which direction.
Oh, all right. So, I didn't. Anyway. All right. So those are the main basic apps on the phone that you can use it for. Let me see if I have a song. Let me find a song. Gosh, see, I have no. Okay. Play Play songs by Acoustic Alchemy.
Now playing Acoustic Alchemy, shuffle.
They can tell what artist to do. So I'm going to stop that. Play Clark Howard podcasts.
Podcast The Clark Howard Show now playing.
That's new. You can now play your podcasts there. So podcasts is the next thing we're going to talk about on phones briefly, and I'm going to get more into it in the afternoon. Who here uses podcasts at all? Do you feel you almost can't live without them once you've started using them? Podcasts are incredible. Pete always gives a scenario of you're sitting there and you're waiting to have your oil changed in your car. I always have some podcasts ready for me to play. And the one I'm going to encourage that I really think I get a lot of information from is Clark Howard, the Clark Howard podcast. So I'm going to say, actually I'm going to launch the podcast here. Podcasts. So I have quite a few podcasts. And actually tomorrow the event will be available on the podcast after the fact. The live event, you'll probably have to go to apple.com and then they'll have a link to it or any of the Mac Rumors news sites. So this is Clark Howard. He's a cheaper guy than me. He's been using the same 39-cent razor for a year. He's wealthy beyond all means. He retired at 30-something he owned a travel agency, retired from that. And he really kind of does this because he wants. He's the nicest talk show host you will ever find. He used to be on local radio, but now he's not. So I go get his regular podcast, and you'll notice 29 and 5, so it's about 30 minutes long, right? 32 minutes long. That's his hour-long show because there's no commercials.
How do you get it? Where do you go?
Going to show you how to do that. Hang on, Connie.
Could you review how to get to
That's just going to do that right now. I got to tease you first, and then we'll tell you how to get it. So if I go to the podcast app, and then you're normally going to be in like this, and at the bottom, this app is kind of clunky right now.
What does the app look like?
It's looks like this. Podcast. Oh, well, you could say launch podcast, or let's find out how the easiest way to search our phone is if you're not going to use Siri. Go to your home screen. Home screen. Put your finger in the middle and slide down a little. Okay? If you're on iOS 6, that won't work. Most everybody here should probably be on 7. And just type in POD. Boom, there's podcast. That means I have it. Right? Does everyone have the podcast app because it's an extra download? Okay, so those that don't, let's go back to our home screen and go to the App Store. The App Store, I moved, sorry. And there I'll simply type in, it's an Apple app, PODC, podcast.
Do you have to subscribe?
The app you download for free, it's from Apple. Okay? If you already have it, it'll say open here, or you'll have a little cloud. So you can buy it for free. Did you have it there, Connie? You don't have to type the whole thing. Let it just fill in. Oh, you're doing your password there?
Mine doesn't. Can you under search?
Are you in the App Store?
I'm going to get back out. Okay, I'm in the App Store.
Yeah, hit the little triangle. The magnifying glass. Right here in search, and then just start typing POD, and then what you do is don't keep typing because you might mistype PODC, and then I don't go down to any of these. I go to the first one because that's the most inclusive search, and then it's this one right here, and you can see it's from Apple.
So mine came up like that, but then when I hit,
Does it say buy or install?
it just says podcast app, and then I touch that, right?
Don't touch the middle. Touch the little button right here where it'll have it'll say
I
free.
can't get it to come up.
It'll say free. Sean, would you mind checking real quick with her? So the podcast app, in this case I have it so it says open. So I'm going to open the app.
Oh, it's yours.
And you'll notice down here at the bottom, my podcasts are ones I've already subscribed to. But if we go to featured, you could go there. And there's a whole list. And this is like the iTunes store, new and noteworthy. You can sort by different things, whether you want tech broadcasts, etc. Or we're going to go over here and search for Clark Howard. C-L-A-R-K. Oh, there he is, the Clark Howard Show. So if you tap Clark Howard, this shows I'm already subscribed, but if you're not, you can listen to an episode. And if you were, what does yours have there? You guys, does it say subscribe or anything on your screen? I'm going to find a podcast I don't have.
It said subscribe.
Okay, so there's subscribe. I don't know the Green Living guy. Oh! Told me to smile. That was my snooze is why it did it. So if you hit subscribe, so you can listen to them, you don't have to subscribe, but here's what's cool about subscribe. If I go in, so everybody's got here how to get it, right?
No, I haven't.
I haven't got it yet.
Yeah, do you have it? Are you in
I think I have podcasts on this, but I don't have it on this.
the app?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe during the break you can download the app and stuff, but if you have it on your iPad, you can do it. It's the same thing. So you can have podcasts on your app, on your iPhone too, or your iPad, and you can even have it in iTunes on your Mac. But each one of them is kind of its own deal. In other words, you subscribe because you might not want the same ones on your iPad you have on your iPhone.
How do you unsubscribe? So you subscribe to Green Guy and then.
I'll subscribe to him.
And then get rid of it.
Okay, that's a good idea. So I'll do that. I'm subscribed. So now I go down to my podcasts. Okay, lower left, my podcasts. Now there's the green guy. So I'm going to tap on him. And it says, oh, do you want to download this episode? And I don't because of what, our internet here and stuff. But it says there, it's 59 minutes, unplayed feed. But if I go to the I can do different things. I can download the episode, save, add to my on-the-go album, etc. But what I really want to do is tap back, the arrow right here, and tap on the main, not the I, but the main body here. And here's settings. So let's look what happens at settings. These are subscription settings. So how do I want to sort it? Newest to oldest is the default. Newest on top. Well, let's look at newest to oldest or oldest to newest. You can display it how you want. Tomato, tomato. Oldest, newest. Yes, I'm subscribed. At this point, I could unsubscribe. But the cool thing is, refresh every 6 hours. In other words, every time a new podcast comes up, it'll be available on your device.
I'm just lost to how you got to that page.
Okay. I subscribed.
Right.
I went to my podcasts. I tap on the green living guy. And now I tap just in this upper part or on this arrow, however you want. And then I come to settings. Everybody there? Al?
Does it just stream it or does it download the episode then to your?
So hang on. Did you get that
No,
now?
I can't get to that page for some reason.
Okay. I'll come there.
I get to there.
So if you tap, you're in search, you have to go to my podcast.
Oh, okay.
So now in my podcast, now you can tap on it.
Okay.
My mistake, you're in. She was still in the search window. All right. Yes.
So if my phone says, you do not have enough space, is it because I have 5 million photos on my camera?
Or a lot of songs or things, yeah. Yeah. So her question was, if it says she doesn't have enough space, it means it. And you have to go through and you're going to have to call some of the stuff out of there.
So we're gonna learn this afternoon how to use Dropbox to put those photos in. Are we doing Dropbox?
Yeah, but that's not the best way to use. That's not how to use Dropbox. No. Dropbox won't really help with your space on your phone that much because it's not. That's not how it's set up to do. Let's finish this. Al, your question was?
Does it stream the episode?
Okay. Let's finish the settings and then we'll go to that. So in settings, refresh every 6 hours. Limit episodes. In other words, I only want to see so many. I don't want to fill it too much. I only want to see the most recent 10 or whatever. And then when you go through them, it'll refresh every time there's a new one. And when you're done playing, it will delete the one you've played. So you don't have to manage it really once you get your settings correct. Download episodes is on. And this is where you can say off and it won't download them automatically. And then delete played episodes you definitely want on. So if I go back to description and here's the guy, episodes. Now, if I tap on this, if I hit this, it downloads it to my device. If I hit the cloud, it's going to download it to here. You'll see a little progress bar. I do that before I leave my house when I'm using my fast Wi-Fi at my house. But if I have a podcast like this and I'm on my cellular, if I just tap it, it asks me, do I want to temporarily turn on cellular data for this podcast? And I'll say, yes, turn on. And now it streams it. Okay?
How big are the files for an hour?
It depends. But most audio podcasts, they're like 50 megs. All right? This isn't playing through that because, let's see what's on here. Oh, it's playing through this actually. But it's our connection. So I'm going to stop that. So that was streaming of it, was tapping on it and playing. The cloud downloads it. So if you're going to be on a plane, go download a bunch of your podcasts. If you're at home on your Wi-Fi, see I'm on LTE, so it doesn't do it. If I'm at home, or if I'm on Wi-Fi, it will automatically download the podcast for you. In this case, on cellular, it gives you that option. And that's really good because you're not using all your cellular data. So, we're going to delete this guy. Edit. Delete. Delete. Everybody see that? Hang on. So, I'm on the main screen of my podcast. And I don't want the green guy. So, I hit Edit. I get a little minus sign. There it is. And I can hit Delete. Now, while I'm in the Edit screen, you'll notice these little bars on the side. I can slide these up and down to be locations. Locations aren't critical. It's just more for you viewing it because each podcast has it's like an album. It has its own set in it. So let's go to, I'll finish that, done. I'm going to go Handle on the Law. This guy's kind of funny. Well, let's go to a Clark Howard episode. And I don't know if we're going to try play this. Let's see if I can play it.
The sap and the raw. Have you ever heard me?
So it may screw us up on the screen here. Yes, it will. But what I want to do is I'm going to play him at normal speed.
Talk about doing the self-employed 401k.
Okay.
No.
That's at normal speed, and Clark Howard is an hour-long show, and he's 32 minutes here with no ads, right? They'll have a little ad in the beginning, etc., but that's about it. My time's very valuable. I want to listen to Clark Howard, so I listen to him at 1.5 normal speed. And it's usually no problem except for the callers. So I'm going to start him at full speed.
There is a
normal
relatively new version of a 401k for single employee companies.
It's 1.5.
It's just you. And the self-employed 401k has, in some ways, even more flexibility than...
Once you get used to it, it's great. Let's try double speed.
And is an alternative for you.
Double speed.
Like, the reason is that it allows you potentially to put more money aside for retirement than you could with the SEP.
Now, if you think about it, in the old days when you had something go fast, it was like, I put in the chip, What this does is digitally it's taking the space of no sound and compressing that and leaving you notice the tonal changes. There's no real tonal changes like when you used to play something too fast. Now, Armstrong and Getty, they're a 4-hour radio show in the morning. I have them already always here. If I don't have anything else on my podcast, I can listen to their shows. It's about 38 minutes. I play them at 1.5 speed normally because it's usually the callers that speak too fast. But if I played them at double speed, it's a 4-hour show if I labor through listening to it on the radio. 38 minutes if I listen to the podcast for 1 hour. And if I do it at double speed, it's 16 minutes per podcast. That 4-hour show is now slightly over an hour.
Wow.
I've reclaimed that time. I have more than 24 hours in a day. Thanks to the iPhone. So the podcasts work here and here. It doesn't work for video podcasts because the little people are running around like this, but just audio podcasts. And most podcasts, if they're a video podcast, they offer an audio podcast of it. Not all audio podcasts have a video one. Okay? Podcasts rock. Whatever you like, go find a podcast about it. There's podcasts about travel. And look at the ratings. See what other people say. Do a Google search. Say, what's the best podcast there is? Here's double speed again.
Okay, all right.
That's the caller. She's too quick.
I'll tell you why I love the combo.
I love the idea of this,
1.5 times.
Account in addition to the stuff.
That is exactly what I was going to say. That really has you.
If I listen to him live or any of the others now, I say, did he have a stroke? I'm like, oh my God, he's like a slow talker, and it's just good. And then the worst part is they have theme music they play, and it like is really the theme music accelerated too. And when you hear the real life theme music, you'll get this over with, It's our society these days, but anyway, podcasts are huge. Use them; they're great on a plane, and that's exactly why I always carry my headphones with me in my pocket. I go into Home Depot. My time's valuable. I'm doing other stuff. I'm listening to it, or I listen to iHeartRadio. Tom Sullivan. It's streaming radio. iHeartRadio. It's free. You can listen to any Clear Channel station anywhere in the country.
Does it doesn't take data or whatever it is?
Her question was, does it take data? Yes, streaming takes data. If I decide to use cellular, it takes data. But if I use my Wi-Fi at home in podcasts, it fills it up. It's just like having a song on there. If I stream it, it's going to use data. Okay? But the nice thing is so let's look at data, how you guys want to manage your data. This is actually a great point. So I use my data a lot for iHeartRadio. Oh, we're not on the screen, sorry. There we go. So if I go into settings and I go down to general, I go to cellular, and in cellular, I go down here to use cellular data for, and I can determine what apps I want to use cellular. Those are either unlimited cellular plans, but look at this. It shows me how much data since I last reset the particular app is using. So, iHeartRadio, let's go down to it. I use it quite a bit, but I reset this every so often also. So see, I've used 368 megabytes, and I've listened to hours and hours and hours of radio. iHeartRadio. There's my Kaiser Permanente ad. You had it, Marilyn?
Kim,
Was it 2.3 K?
Oh, hang on one sec, Marilyn.
would you go back and tell us how to customize your podcast?
Sure. Do that in 1 second. What was yours, Glow?
Well, I have FileApp Pro 2.3 KB kilobytes. Is that
Kilobytes are nothing.
Oh, good.
It takes 1,000 kilobytes to make a megabyte,
Okay.
and it takes 1,000 megabytes to make a gigabyte. Okay? So you're okay. Anything that's KB, don't worry about it. So to Marilyn's point, back in podcasts, you have to already be subscribed to a podcast to do settings. So I'm going to go back into podcasts and this little left arrow and into my podcast. So I'm going to pick one of my podcasts that I have. I'm going to tap on Clark Howard, for instance. It doesn't show you settings until you click this little arrow at the top. Not now playing, not down here, right here. This is a particular episode information. This is in general for that podcast. It used to be that you had one setting for all your podcasts. This way you can have, if you have one podcast that you kind of, I'll get it when I get it kind of thing, but other ones you want to go all the time, you can set it individually. It used to apply globally to all podcasts. Now you can do it with a particular podcast. And that's just in settings. And for the most part, the default ones work pretty well, but if you see too many build up, if you're tough on space, things like that. Now the other thing you can do is I'm in my podcast list for Clark Howard. This is new. This is very, very recent that it's done this. If I know a new episode just came out of it and it hasn't propagated down to here automatically, just like when you check for mail, I slide down and see there it's checking. Oh, and look at that. I got a new one. Cool, when I drive home tonight. So the way here this morning, I was listening to Clark Howard. I was doing some other stuff around the house. I have a t-shirt, it's got a pocket in it. I'm just listening to the podcast all around at 1.5 speed. So now I could download this, but I'll just do it when I get home.
In setting on cellular, I have enable LTE on. Is that supposed to be on?
Yes. Enable LTE. LTE is long-term evolution. LTE is the faster data speed. You won't use any more data, but you'll use that data faster. It's just a better setting. It's a faster internet. The only reason they have that is sometimes you might use slightly less battery, but to be honest, I find LTE is more miserly on the battery than the non-LTE.
I have both of them on, the cellular data.
Yeah, cellular. You want cellular data on unless you're by the border or overseas, which is going to be this afternoon about how to set your iPhone for traveling. Glow?
Okay. One of my problems with
I'll be
Verizon
recording it.
is they want to charge me for all this data, and I'm
That's not the only problem with Verizon. Everybody's got that problem. And we're going to talk about that in 1 sec.
Okay, but my question is, when this says cellular and what you use, I have iBooks, and I haven't used iBooks for months. I mean, almost a year, and it says 50.3 megabytes.
That's because you downloaded it sometime. So let's go back to that setting, because what I do is, if I want to see what I'm using per month, I go down to the bottom, way to the bottom, and say Reset Statistics. See? My bill renews. In fact, I should have, June 7th, I'll do it. I just reset it so I can see how much. Your Wi-Fi doesn't count on this. This is only cellular data. So I reset mine on my anniversary date of my bill every month. I just do it so I have a reminder on my calendar to reset my data.
And
so
how
that I
long
can.
does it set it for? A whole month?
No, what it does, it resets. It says erase all the statistics.
Right.
Doesn't do anything. It just erases the statistics. And then if I go use iHeartRadio, it'll start to add to the amount of usage I have. Important if you're traveling internationally or if you have a data cap or something like that where you're butting up against it. And these system services can be pretty onerous also. And you can see here, and I don't turn my phone down. I mean, I use my phone quite a bit, and I'm a heavy user, and I rarely exceed 1 gigabyte a month, 1.5 gigabytes a month, about 2.
Jeez.
So, and I mean, I use it severely. Go ahead.
Do you go into settings and then, well, you can tell me, to reset it to the date like you did yours?
What I do on mine is I go right here to, let's see. Let me see if it's in general. No, it is in cellular data. It used to be in general. So I'm going to go to cellular data, cellular, and then down here, the very bottom, when you have a bunch of apps, it takes a long time, and then I just say reset statistics. And it doesn't do anything except just reset that number back to 0.
Well, I guess what you were saying was you have a date, though, a specific date you set up.
Yeah, when my bill is, it won't do it automatically. I set a reminder in my calendar that pops up and says, reset your bill, reset your statistics.
And what is that? What am I yoga studio, 88.8 kilobytes.
Kilobytes, don't even worry
But
about it.
what's that telling me?
That's telling you how much data you used on that app
From when? From monthly?
from the last time it was reset.
Okay.
So that's why I reset mine every month, because it gives me a barometer. I've picked up people's phones that have had their phone for a year, and their total usage is under a gigabyte. So they obviously can get on a measured plan and save money. Speaking of saving money, right before we break for lunch,
If you turn these off, like I get some stupid news thing from KCRA.
that's notifications. You can change that.
So if I turned it off, then I wouldn't be getting anything from KCRA, right, for data?
If you turn, well, no, you'll still get it. It's notifications you want to turn off. Surely I have to give you your iPad back. Thank you for
I
giving it.
left it here yesterday.
Oh.
And it's the same color black as the tops here.
Oh, that's why I forgot it.
All right. Years ago, AT&T was the only one to offer the iPhone. They had an exclusive. And you know, that sounds pretty bad, but it worked out perfectly for Apple and perfectly for all of you guys. The very first iPhone was sold for a lot of money. I paid $599 for mine, I believe, and even though it had a contract, then they lowered the price. Apple refunded $100 or something like that. But anyway, AT&T was the exclusive company to get the phone with it. And that was on June 29th of 2007. As Pete and he was waiting in Vacaville in line. I was waiting in Sacramento here in line for the iPhone. And it was amazing because at the time we had Trios and we had Blackberries, and the majority of the people were spending an extra $45 a month to get on crummy internet because the internet looked terrible on those devices. But the data side was $45 a month or more. Most people were paying $60 for good data plans on Trios and Blackberries. So I sat there, and you know, Pete's one side of the audience, I'm the other side of the audience, and I'm a cheap bastard, and I'm going, God, if it's $60 a month, I want the iPhone. But because they introduced the iPhone, they didn't tell you what the price was going to be on AT&T for the data. The voice calls I was already paying for. I already had that, and I was paying $25 a month on my stupid Sony Ericsson phone to get limited internet on this teeny little postage stamp size screen that you couldn't maneuver to, and I could like check email, and anyway. So I said, man, if it's $60 a month, I said, even if it's $45 a month, I gotta have one, but I can't justify it, and I'm already paying $25 a month for data. And they came out, and the original iPhone was what, $25 a month?
30.
Was it 30 on the original? I think he's right. And so what happens is you can't get an iPhone without data. And why would you want to? Because it's a computer that happens to make calls. Why handcuff it and just make phone calls? That's it. So Apple is the one that convinced AT&T to lower that price dramatically. They probably said something like, well, we won't sell too many. It's okay. Just lower the price so we can get it out there. And that was part of this great exclusive agreement they had with AT&T. It lasted for pretty much 3 years. But they added that onto it for such a reasonable price, your price of admission wasn't that bad. I could handle that from what I was getting. It was only $5 more than I was paying already. So that I could justify. I would have probably not gone down the iPhone road for a whole nother year if, in fact, I hadn't had that good price. So it got a lot of people in. It's like the drug pusher, you know, taste a little of this. I'm still on that unlimited plan, by the way. The original plan included 200 text messages and something else. But they changed around later. Then when the 3G came out, it cost a little more and things like that. But never have the plans been cheap. That was reasonable at that point. Then Verizon came along, and it's really weird. AT&T, you can talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same time because the type of network it is. Same with T-Mobile. But AT&T has kind of coverage issues. Verizon, you're not able to be on the internet and talk on the phone at the same time yet. That's changing very soon. But what I used to say is, yeah, you can't be on the internet and talk on Verizon at the same time, and on AT&T you just can't make any calls at all. because the coverage sucks so bad. That's all changing now with LTE. They're going to do the voice over the data. A lot of times you can get data and you can't make a phone call. So they're changing that. But the biggest change is this subsidy model that we've currently had, where this phone, mine's a 32 gig, but just pretend like it's 16. This phone from the big providers was $199 a year, $199 for the phone with a 2-year contract. At the end of 2 years, you can sell it for more than that $200 you got into it usually, but you're paying over time for that phone for a pretty hefty contract. And in essence, over that time, you're paying much more than what the price of the phone is. Now, everybody complains about, well, I don't want to have a contract. Okay, then you can buy the phone for $650 because that's what AT&T and what Verizon and all the other companies pay for that phone that they sell you for $200. They're paying the full $650 price to Apple. That's why it's Apple's most profitable product. But secondly, that's why you pay over $50 in tax on this, is the tax is based on the full retail price of the phone, not the subsidized price. If you go to a store and you buy something that's got a rebate on it, you pay the sales tax on the full amount, not the after rebate amount. There's an exception to that. If you buy your phone at Walmart, they only charge tax on the subsidized amount. I don't know how they do it, but it's great. Save yourself $50. But the U.S. was one of the only places that did that. That was the AT&T model. And in fact, they tried to not in the beginning. That's why we paid so much for the very first version of the iPhone, was to not have a locked-in contract. But Apple said, no, we got to sell. It's the only way it'll work is to sell against other phones, is to be down in a price. The phone's value is that $650. That's why I sell my phone every year for more than I paid for it, because people want to buy it without a contract. But it's changed dramatically recently. There are non-contract providers. T-Mobile's making a big push. T-Mobile will buy you out of your contract. So like if I end my contract early, I have to pay an early termination fee because they've invested in that phone in me. So I can pay up to $375 early termination fee. T-Mobile wants you as a customer because they know once they get you, you're probably going to stay with them. They'll pay to buy you out of that contract. They'll also take your phone and sell it for whatever that, but they'll buy you out of the contract. But then you have to purchase your phone. And the phone still, if you buy from Apple, is essentially $650, but they're starting to drop, and we don't know what's coming out. But the monthly services are down below $30 for everything you need now, where most of you with AT&T or Verizon are probably paying about $100 for a single line. So when you amortize that over a 2-year period, you're better off buying one. And I'm one who hates monthly fees, so I don't mind paying for them. Remember, if I'm paying for the phone $650 and I buy a new phone a year later, I can sell that phone for probably $350 to $400, somewhere in there. So don't look at it like it's the full hit. Look at it like it's partial. They do have plans with T-Mobile and stuff where you pay monthly for the phone. They wrap it up in there, but they're no contract. And the whole idea is I've never been a problem having a contract because I've been with AT&T since the very, 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 very beginning. And hey, that's what I'm paying to subsidize the phone. I'm on a family plan with my mom. Lord knows I don't want her to change because she's got a special SOS phone and all that. But I think it's changed dramatically. Consumer cellular is a great one that people are using through AARP, I believe. T-Mobile. I have one client on Virgin Mobile that it's got a little bit of limited data, but it's got 300 minutes of calling, and he pays $30 a month for his phone. There's a ton of changes happening. And the new iPhone should probably come out in the fall, so that's when a lot of this is going to be there. But just make sure you explore the avenues. I used to keep a spreadsheet going on all of this stuff. Now there's some good ones on the internet because they change the plans daily. Verizon, if you're with Verizon, go talk to them because you're probably going to save money on a contract. I have a friend whose company had, forget how many phones they have. I think they have 15. They were all on Verizon. Just by me talking to them, I saved them $800 a month. By just them going to Verizon and getting a current plan plan that's more appropriate to what they're doing. Actually, and that was over a year ago, so they'll even save more now. Verizon was the last one to kind of say, okay, I guess we better start lowering our prices a little bit. Verizon has the best coverage. That's changing because everything's going to LTE. Sprint has very good coverage. They kind of offer unlimited. They have good pricing. T-Mobile is the one that's been the real wrench in everybody's side trying to get this going, and they offer really good unlimited plans, all kinds of levels where you can tether and different things like that. If you have an iPad and you have the cellular version of it, T-Mobile will give you a card. You pay $10 for the card, but you get 200 megabytes a month for free on your iPad. No strings attached. I have a 1 gig per month plan. It's $10 a month for my iPad. Okay, you have to have the cellular version, not the Wi-Fi and cellular, not just Wi-Fi. AT&T has dropped their prices dramatically, so maybe when you go to get a new phone, look at it. If you don't want to pay $650 for the phone, you can continue to use the phone you have. Peter, I probably won't do that. We're slaves to it, and we're going to get the newest one when it comes out because we have to do this research for you guys. So, so new phones will probably be out in September, October. Indications are all Apple devices will probably have the fingerprint reader in them then, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to use that for passwords. I think there'll be a new iteration of the iPad mini. I think there'll be a second generation or a second iteration of the iPad Air. There should be a larger iPhone. That probably won't be announced tomorrow, any of that stuff, because it's really not a hardware time. They're going to talk about the new operating systems that are going to come out in September, October, that come out right when the new devices come out. But your old devices, I'd say 5s and newer, will probably support the new operating systems. I'm not sure about the 4s and the 4Ss. Al had a question.
What's the coverage like with that T-Mobile?
T-Mobile is pretty good. I tried to get it here. I don't know what it's. I think it was a problem. Barb's been on T-Mobile. You saved a lot of money. We went over there. I went with her because I really wanted to see what their plans were and everything. And I think they're doing the right things. But how's your coverage been?
Well, except for that static stuff, it's been good.
Yeah.
But when I go to Montana, and that's just, I don't know where that static comes from. But when I go to Montana this summer, it'll have to be a local Montana.
Kind of a roam kind of thing.
Well, it won't be a roam, and they'll still cover me, but it's not T-Mobile's company that's covering it.
Right, because they're kind of regional.
2 trips to Montana, and Verizon didn't work very well.
And Verizon usually has the best coverage of everything, but I know some places in Arizona, there's up above Jerome, it's like Verizon doesn't work where the darn and AT&T works fine. It's usually the other way around. So there are what they call MVNOs now, Mobile Virtual Network Operators. Virgin Mobile uses Sprint. T-Mobile is T-Mobile. There are some other companies that use Straight Talk Wireless, which is at Walmart. They've got some fantastic deals. The way you can tell which one they're using is by their coverage map. The red one is Verizon's map. Certain phones they buy minutes and data from these other places. Your voice calls are going to change pretty soon because the voice is not going to continue to go over the cellular network. It's going to go over the data side, very much like FaceTime does. So that's the LTE, and in fact, you'll get better voice quality, and they have what's called HD voice, high definition voice. And that's coming very soon. Verizon just talked about rolling it out. It's a deal with your equipment has to support it, and the carrier has to support it. So I know that's all kind of geeky and in the weeds, but if you're getting ready to do a phone, just send me an email, and I'll send you to some links to some different stuff. But I think this is all going to come out in the fall, and Apple's never going to have a really cheap phone because that's not what they do. You pay for good quality, and just like PCs never have resale value, Macs, iPads, iPhones have resale value, so you have to factor that into the cost and just the pleasure.
That static only started in the last couple of years.
It may be something in your phone too. All right, so make sure you grab your numbers. Is there anyone eating in here today? Anyone eating in here? They are, so get their number. Take your numbers with you, and we'll adjourn. Somebody save me a seat, please. Oh, and I'll stop recording.